Hi everyone, welcome to RPA Explorers channel.
Today's video we are going to see how you can convert your secure string to a string and the vice versa, or you can call it as a formal encoding and decoding of your strings. So we'll get started with a simple component. So I'll use show from the message box. Let's provide the static value. So right click on this port properties and then we can provide the value. So I'll provide. So I'll click on OK. So now you can see the string over the component. So let's run the process and you can see it has displayed the expected output, and we'll click on OK. So let's clear the logs and again let's go to the port properties, and you can see we have something called sensitive data, which is disabled by default, and I'm going to enable this now. So let's see, and you can see that sensitive data makes the data invisible over the component. So it just hide the component, hide the text over the component, but still you can see the string when you click on port properties. Okay, so now let's rerun the process and see, and still you get the same output. So this is a simple way how you can just hide the sensitive data just only over the component. This is not the actual way of encoding or decoding your strings. So now let's get started with the actual encoding and decoding. Go to your toolbox and just filter with encryption. So you can see different components under encryption. We are going to see encode and decode method. So let's take encode and decode. As you look at the component, you can see we need input string or the input secure string, which will give us the output in the reverse format. So first let's start with the decoding. So in order to use a decoding method, we need secure string as the input. So let's use a variable to pass a string here. So I'll go to the project folder and I have already created the local variable, which is of type secure string. So just drag and drop it to the design panel and click on this icon where you can change the type. So I change the type to secure string. So let's click on OK, and again we'll do the same, like we'll go here and go to the port properties, and if you notice here we don't have an option to provide your static data from here. Okay, but what I'm going to do is that let's enable this sensitive data and we'll click on OK and double click over here and provide the data you want. So even though we kept the data or we mark the sensitive data as enabled, you still see the text in the over the component. So this is not the actual way of using the secure string in the input format. So let's just try with it and we'll pass it over here, and again we'll use show to display the output. Let's display the output. So you can see the string. This is the way how you can just decode it to a string, but passing the input is not the correct way. So in real time example, you might be dealing with different applications wherein you have to enter the credentials, which is the username and the password. So in case you are planning to use variable for storing your password, every time whenever there is a change in the password, you have to go to the studio and update your password and then pre-publish your project or whatever you want to do. We have a simple option to store that, which is using RPA Hub. So now let's navigate to the RPA Hub and you'll get into this page where you have to click on this home or the list. So under list we have different things, like you have bot process, packages, chat parameter, robots and everything. And I have already published my process, which is called YouTube. So I just have the process of converting my PDF into an Excel. Okay, so let's click on this. So for every process, there is a need to store the credentials. You have to store everything in the bot process itself. So when you publish your process from the RPA studio, you can just create your bot process. So once you have this, and you can see different options being available on top of it. So you can go to the details to view the versions and everything, and you can see that we have credential sets and process robot credentials. So I'm going with this credential sets where you have to create the credentials for your robot. So I have created my credentials for the robot to run on my machine, so which is my machine. So once the robot is created, you can see that we have application credentials in which you can just create your credential, wherein you have to provide the username, password and selecting your application, which comes from this stage. So you just have to like creating your applications. First you have to create your application on the Servicenow, then you should add them here, and then you can just go with that. Since I don't have any applications on my Servicenow for now, I'm going to show you guys a different way how you can just use the parameters. Okay, but this is how you actually use it. Like you have to go into this robot credentials and application credential, where you can create your name by providing your application. And in case you have different parameters in the application, I mean the credentials one, what you can do is you can just go with this process parameters, wherein you have to create it. And here we have the same thing, where you can mark your data sensitive or not. By keeping this sensitive, it will become the credentials. So this is what we are going to do now, but we are not going to use the process parameter under the bot one. Instead we are going to use the shared parameters. So let's go back to the home page or the list page. Go to the shared parameter, wherein I have created two different parameters. One is for a secure string and the second is for a string. So if you see, the value for the string is visible, but secure string is not visible, because I have marked or have used the sensitive data enabled. So let me open this. You can see this, and this is sensitive. I did not mark this sensitive. Let's provide the value. For example, let's give as RPA Explorers. Let's use space. Sorry, I left it. And now let's mark it as sensitive, and we'll save this here. So let's go back over here, and you do not see the value. And similarly, I have created a different variable which is string, but this is not sensitive. So now let's go to the studio and see how you can use this in your project. So go to your toolbox and filter with parameters. You can see we have two different parameters, which is under process parameters and shared parameters. So if you are going with the bot process one, go with the top three one, and we are using shared parameters, so we have to use get shared parameter. So let's drag and drop this, and under this icon you have an option to add your keys. So now let's copy the name of the strings, sorry, the parameters, and we'll provide this. And also we have text string. So let's click on OK. So now let's see how you can actually decode it. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll use a decode component. Since it accepts the secure string, we'll provide it, and we'll display the output now. And similarly, you can see the encoding as well. So after we display the message for decoding, let's provide the string to this, and we'll display this output as well. So I'll clear the log and we'll run the process. So let's run this. So we have an error, so let's look at the error. And you see that no instance is connected, because our instance is not connected with the studio. So first we'll connect this. So this is connected now, and connecting your instance is not just enough for using process parameter or using anything from RPA Hub. So make sure you should assign your bot process as well. So I'm going with this, where you have to select your bot process and the respective robot, which is YouTube, and the robot is my mission. So let's click on OK. And one more thing is, like, whenever you create any parameter or any process parameter, make sure you just assign to the respective bot process. So you may have different bot process and you have some common shared parameter. So in that case, you have to assign all the bot process whichever uses the shared parameter. So I have assigned my two different shared parameter to the defined bot process, which is YouTube. So in that way you can get the values from there. So let's run the process and see the output now. So the first one, which is from the decode component, so this is the secure string in the RPA Hub. So you can see we have the output here, and let's click on OK. Okay, we have an error. Let's see. Okay, so like it's just kind of encoding it. It gives the output in the decoding, right? So in order to print the output again, we'll use the decoding to see the actual output. Okay, We'll clear the logs and we'll run the process. So RPA Explorer Servicenow, which is the username or which is the string. So in real time, you do not need to actually use the decode for entering your password. You can just get it and you can use type into, or you can use the get a set text component, which can actually type in a sensitive way. So this is how you can actually convert your string to secure string, or you can go with decoding or encoding of your strings. So I hope you guys find this video useful. In case, please do subscribe and like the video. Thank you.